Let's see who we got. Who we got? What do artists do after they fall off? Shit, like y'all know. They go back to selling drugs. What you think? Let's see what they talking about.
According to Exposure Music, 76% of musicians are not able to sustain themselves financially through their music-related activities. And if you do make it big as a
Music don't
musician,
make
it
you
can
that
be
much
very
money.
difficult to make that career last. Many
It's
artists
all about getting the money and then flipping it and doing some other shit with your money. But music
come
itself,
and go over the years, which
Hell
may
no.
leave you wondering, what do artists do after they fall off? Some may pursue other careers in the music industry, while others may switch lanes entirely. So today we're going to be looking into this, starting off with
I know they be feeling like they can't go work a regular job because they like, fuck, now we too known. People gonna come up to my job, be like, that's you, then that shit get too hard. So I understand that part. So they just go back to selling drugs and shit.
Blueface. Real quick, I want to shout out my guy 1111 examples,
don't
different
care.
examples of themselves. Also, well, most chance to fall off, but I don't know, I think it's interesting. Let's continue. Blueface blew up in 2018 with his track Respect My Crippin'. Since releasing that song, it's gotten over
Blueface,
55 million plays on
I ain't gonna say he
Spotify
didn't
and
fall
even a
off,
remix
but he
with
still
Snoop
has a
Dogg.
lot of shit going
Blueface's
for
strange
him.
style, where many thought it
Until he
sounded
went to
like he was
jail.
rapping off beat, really caught people's attention. He then dropped the track Bleed It, which I honestly forgot about till researching this video, but that track was a banger. He continued his run by dropping the song Tatiana, which I'm sure you guys remember. It got remixes from Cardi B and
Tatiana's
YG,
before
and collectively all the versions of that track have racked up hundreds of millions of streams. While he was still hot, he was planning on releasing his debut studio album Find the Beat, which was kind of a meme title based on what people were saying about his music, but the album got delayed a few times, and when it did release in 2020, it only sold 12,000 copies first week, which wasn't that great. And this
see
is
why
when
him
his
and
fall off
DDG,
seemed to
linked
begin.
up.
Part of this, in my
They
opinion,
both was
was all of his controversies, which
non-successful
seemed to
rappers at
draw
that
the
time.
attention away from his music. He said himself in an interview with the New York Times, getting to this point probably took about 25% music. He attributed the rest of his success to marketing, promotion, and being yourself. And like I said, Blueface was great at this.
Same old phone? Nah. Upgrade to the new Galaxy Z Fold 7.
Amazing means spending more time together. Put that on the highlight.
Part because he was great at marketing and promoting himself on the internet, and he did a lot of things outside of music that helped keep his name in the headlines. So as
knew
money
about
was
the Blue
likely
Girls
slowing
Club
up
shit.
along with his numbers music
That
wise,
was it.
Blueface
Him and
decided to
Krishan
launch
took
an
off.
OnlyFans. But it wasn't your conventional OnlyFans in the way you might be thinking, because Blueface created a reality show on there called Blue Girls Club. It was supposed to be similar
was
to a
on
reality
all-
TV
on all
show called
OnlyFans.
Bad Girls
I didn't know
Club,
that.
and according to Business Insider, the show, shot in October 2020, followed 10 women over 18 episodes in 21 days as they fought, played drinking games, and hung out in the same house with the rapper. Instead of a cash prize like most shows, the women were promised that they could promote their social media profiles and possibly get famous.
That's
To
what they
watch the
did
show,
all
you
that
had
for
to
no
pay
money?
$50 a month on a subscription to his OnlyFans page. The show was actually extremely successful for Blueface, and he made over $800,000 in less than a year. He said on IG, "If you can find a way on OnlyFans without showing your private parts, I highly recommend. Crazy work, good salary." So like many others you'll see on this list, Blueface was able to leverage his previous fame into a new stream of revenue. And Blueface really demonstrated the power of social media and making money off of it. However, that doesn't mean his show came without controversy. According to Business Insider, at one point there were 4,000 users signed up paying between $30 and $50 a month, so he was making well over $100,000 a month. And apparently the girls weren't seeing any of this money. It was a very poorly put together production. There wasn't much food for the girls, there was tons of alcohol, they took the girls' phones, and there was constant fighting. Krishan Rock, who actually met Blueface on this show, lost a tooth. One girl Business Insider interviewed said that the security guards would instigate fights. Apparently there were 14 big fights that were posted on the OnlyFans, with more off camera.
I had to go back and see what she was like on that show before she lost her tooth. 'Cause I knew she lost her tooth on there. I think by his baby mama or somebody that was chasing him and she chasing her and she slipped and went through a door or some
Person
shit
on
like
Reddit
that.
said, "I watched the whole first season. There literally is so much to say about it. There's barely any rules set in place for real, and it makes no sense what their goal actually is. Even the girls are
Ain't no
confused
goal.
sometimes on what exactly they win. The formatting makes no sense, and I could get further into it, but it's not nearly as important as how he's not put a single thought into the care of these women." Throughout a couple of episodes, the girls confront Blueface and his friends about what they're going to eat, when is food going to get there, etc. He got these girls beating on each other at 7 a.m. and eating Cheetos for dinner. In the first first 72 hours, 2 of the girls already had broken teeth and bones. Eventually, those 2 of the girls did get signed to Blueface's label, but he didn't help anyone's careers like he had promised. So basically, while he may have made bank, the show was a disaster. Eventually, when the show was over, Blueface pivoted to a bunch of other things like celebrity boxing, and of course, after meeting Krishan Rock on the show, they began dating and had an extremely publicized and controversial relationship. Most recently, he actually landed himself in prison with a 3-year sentence, so while his pivot worked for a while, his inability to avoid controversy and legal issues ended up winning in the long run. More on that in a future video. So while Blueface was able to pivot and make some good money, he ended up making some bad choices. But MC Hammer did the opposite. MC Hammer is an artist who actually started out in a Christian rap group called the Holy Ghost Boys back in the 80s, which is interesting to keep in mind going forward. He was also rapping solo on the side, and by 1986 decided to put out his first album as MC Hammer. It sold 60,000 units, and Hammer got his first taste of success. But Hammer decided to go a bit more commercial on his next project. He further developed his flashy style with the Hammer pants, which were actually named after him, which is pretty cool. And then in 1988, he released the album Let's Get It Started, which was way more
back
successful.
then it used to be called Parachute
Then when he released
Pants,
his third album in 1990 called Please
we
Hammer
as black people, we just start calling them bitches the Hammer Pants.
Don't Hurt Him, he went crazy, especially because he had the hit single You Can't Touch This. He also had tracks like Pray that were super successful as well. I mean, I'm sure you guys are fairly aware of how successful MC Hammer was in the late 80s and early 90s. But then with all the crazy money he was making, he started spending it like crazy too. According to Wikipedia, MC Hammer originally had a net worth of $33 million.
Alright, I was just about to ask, I wonder like what was crazy money to him back then? Was he did he only have like $3 million and went crazy like that? Because it's easy for you to blow $3 million, but $33 million? Oh, you crazy.
Spending so much money on his staff, friends, family, and himself, he ended up $13 million in debt.
He made sure he spent his pile.
$33 million,
man.
I'ma still live like I got 10,000 in the bank.
Maybe had I done things in a more meticulous fashion and watched the bottom line, we wouldn't have had to file a bankruptcy. That was a mistake.
He even had 17 cars, which is a little bit overkill in my opinion. So MC Hammer had to file for bankruptcy in April of 1996, and it seemed like because of this, Hammer decided to return to his roots. Over the years, Hammer has expressed that during his immense success, he strayed away from his faith in God. But after his bankruptcy, he came back to faith after realizing that money isn't really what makes you happy. He also attributed part of his return to Christianity to the death of Tupac, who was a friend of his. He said to the Los Angeles Times, "Whether the bankruptcy played any role in my refocusing, that's great. Hallelujah, I hope it did. But the most important part of what occurred to me was love, missing the love of God in the way that I had known it."
On one day, I just woke up and said, you know what? This is not me. You know, it was just an accumulation. Enough is enough. We're here to celebrate Jesus.
You wake up and say that when you still was getting money.
This is not about MC Hammer. I want to travel the world. I've been around the world 7 times, 8 times. You know, there wasn't anything that I haven't done except for I knew in my heart that I was no longer a part of the body of Christ.
So in 1997, Hammer became an ordained minister and began preaching in churches regularly. He also created a TV ministry called MC Hammer and Friends. And probably one of the cooler and more interesting things is that he began prison ministry as well. He even married people too, which is crazy. Could you imagine getting married by MC Hammer? That would be cool. Now I will admit that Hammer isn't the best example for this video because he has continued putting out music after his bankruptcy, although he did shift his focus to the church. He had always had Christian themes in his music, like with one of his tracks being the song Pray, but he doubled down on these messages in his newer music. He even said that he wanted to make sure that in his music going forward, he had at least one Christian track per album. So it's really cool to see that while the money started drying up, MC Hammer realized what was important in his life and was able to pursue that, while still being able to continue releasing music as well, even though that wasn't the main focus, and the real main focus
trying to push the Christian thing on people, but they're like, should I do one Christian song on my album and give y'all what y'all want?
Spreading his message. And while MC Hammer decided to pivot almost entirely after his main music career, New Radicals decided to continue working in the music industry behind the scenes. New Radicals is a band you may remember from their hit song You Get What You Give, but the main duo of this band was Greg Alexander and Danielle Brisebois, and they formed the band. Greg didn't think that they could reach the level of success, or specifically Greg.
Popeye's wings are now spicy and mild. If Popeyes can make better wings, I can be better Mayfield.
You were trash!
Greg is a good example of this. To be fair, New Radicals probably could have had more success if Greg let them have the chance, so they which even won a Grammy. Greg has gone on to write for people like Rod Stewart. And Fetty Wap is another artist who blew up off his commercial single Trap Queen. He was notable for his unique singing voice that was super catchy, so this song became an instant hit. The song peaked at
They let him get away with the fake hair shit. He was the first nigga I knew who did that. And ain't nobody said nothing. Nigga had a haircut right here, and then the next day just flipped and had dreads. Somebody else dreads at that.
On the Billboard Hot 100 and spent 25 weeks in
Blew
the
my
top
mind
10.
when it
I mean,
happened.
I'm sure you guys remember how big this song was. Anyways, because of the success of this song, some of Fetty Wap's following songs like 679, My Way, Again, and more began blowing up. But it seemed like as time went on, the hype died down. With each track he put out, it seemed like the streams were going down, even when he was collaborating with artists like Nicki Minaj. And as the numbers started...
I don't know what was his real fall off of YP. I don't know if they just got tired of the sound or what. Did he take too long between the project or something? But because he was doing good, dropping hit song after song, and then it just disappeared.
Blowing up, so did his money, especially because he had so many expenses from his lavish lifestyle.
I went to the bank again, and that shit was like...
Nigga, fake dreads started getting
hold-
long. Ain't that some shit?
I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck do that mean? Like,
So you try to take money out and they're like, oh no, there's a hold on it.
yeah. And then I went to call to my other account, like, yo, can you send me this? He's like, yo, bro, I gotta talk to you. I'm like, what you talking about? And yeah, so I think for 6 months, I was broke, bro.
Damn, they had your whole account on freeze. It wasn't like no taxes shit or nothing.
Nah.
Like that. Damn. So you just, and by the way, this happens to a lot of entertainment. Like you don't know, probably paying so much fucking bills. You don't know exactly what your name is on, what you
I
owe.
was doing like 150,000 a month in bills, but that's the dumbest shit I was doing. Like, matter of fact, yeah, if I had to, it was jewelry and like apartments. I had a lot of fucking apartments.
Fetty seemed like he was a good dude who was really trying to put his friends on,
150,000 a
buying them
month.
stuff like apartments, jewelry,
So
bringing
by
them
the
on
year,
stage
you
and putting
spent
them
a
on
good
songs.
$5
Fetty
million.
would travel with 15 to 30 people, paying for all of their expenses, buying them all chains, spending $45,000 on jeans just so everyone could have a pair, bringing them all on stage during his
Keeping it real
shows.
goes
He wanted
wrong,
to show
trying to keep it
everyone
too
the
real.
lifestyle, not because he felt pressure, but because he genuinely loved his people.
There was even this whole controversy where Fetty got a remix to 679 with Drake, but Drake's team didn't want Fetty's friend Monty on the track.
Fetty
so
was all the way
never
down here in
officially
Holly
got the
Grove and
remix,
shit in
which
the hood
definitely
doing
hurt him
shit for the
commercially.
homies.
So as I'm sure you guys could imagine, with all the money he was spending, like 150K a month, Fetty started going broke. He even responded to the criticism when he started falling off with someone saying in his IG comments, "I actually don't know how you fell off." To which Fetty Wap said, "Bad business managers, greed, and selfishness. But it's almost over. I got rid of all that goofy shit around me. Now I can focus on the music and I'm going the fuck up.
It's
Just
too late."
watch." And to be fair, he did have a mini comeback with the banger Sweet Yams in 2022. But unfortunately,
I don't
it was
remember
all for
that.
naught because in 2021, Fetty Wap was arrested on drug charges. See, when Fetty
Why
Wap
he had a
began
banger in
declining,
2022
he
and
started
was arrested
selling
in
drugs.
2021.
Then when he was arrested in 2021, he was indicted on charges of 1 count of conspiracy to distribute and possess controlled substances. They said, as
That's what all
alleged, the
hood niggas do,
defendants
man.
transported, distributed, and sold more than 100 kilograms of deadly and addictive drugs, including heroin and fentanyl, on Long Island, deliberately continuing the opioid epidemic that has devastated our communities and taken too many lives. His lawyer said that he had been supporting relatives and kids with the money that he made from it, and he said to the judge, "I only ever wanted to help my family. I never asked myself if it was all the way right." Also, prosecutors were trying to say that the song Sweet Yams was about drugs, which is so dumb. It was clearly about yams. But the judge pointed out how Fetty Wap was only involved with the drug stuff for like 6 months.
See, yeah, them dreads look what it was real 'cause it was somebody real dreads. But right there, that was when they first got them. But the one we just saw with the long, that shit looked super, super fake. It didn't even look like dreads. It looked like yarn, like thick yarn tied together.
So he only got 1 year above the minimum, which was a 6-year sentence to prison. He's since said in an interview with XXL, "Nobody made me do it. Nobody forced me to do it. When I put myself in that situation, I really think for the long run. I'm thinking I could just
Taking
run up a few
accountability.
$1 million and I'm going to be good forever." So it's definitely kind of sad how he lost all his money in his career, and the fact he has kids too and is locked up for 6 years. So hopefully Fetty can get out early and get back to making some banger tracks, because that Sweet Yams comeback, that was
How
good.
many
Fetty
years
can
he
get
at?
out early in career, and the fact he has kids too and is locked up for 6 years. So
6
hopefully
years.
Fetty can get out early and
Pretty
get
sure
back
he
to
been in
making
there
some
since
banger tracks, 'cause
2021.
that Sweet
He
Yams
out like
comeback,
that shit.
that was good, and I was really really thinking Fetty Wap might be back, so I hope he comes back. And while Fetty Wap may have made some bad choices following his music career, Mark Wahlberg got very lucky following his ventures in music. Now you may think I'm crazy putting Mark Wahlberg in here, but hear me out, because Mark Wahlberg was Marky Mark before he got into acting.
Hey yo, what's up? This is me, Marky Mark, my man HB, and you're chilling on Teen Vit.
So Mark Wahlberg's older brothers, Robert and Donnie, were actors and singers respectively. Donnie was one of the founding members of New Kids on the Block when he was just 15. He let his younger brother Mark join the group when Mark was just 13, but Mark left pretty quickly because he realized he wasn't that good. Ironically, after committing a spree of racially motivated attacks in the late 80s as a teenager, Mark decided to become a rapper. In 1990, Mark began making music with Scotty G, Hector the Booty Inspector, Ashley Ace, and DJ T. They were called Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. By this point, New Kids on the Block was already fairly popular, and I could be totally wrong about this, but it is possible that their popularity helped out Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, although Mark would disagree.
Now, I mean, my brother has a lot of success and stuff, and I have an album coming out, and I worked hard for it, though, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people will think, oh, his brother's rich and this and that.
Value of having a partner is huge. Finding someone you can trust is what really builds the business from the base.
Personality back then. Well, it was more blackish back then, but more hoodish. Now you could never tell, but
you know, he's just, you know what I'm saying, everything's been handed to him. You know, a lot of people say that to me now. I worked hard for it, though, you know what I'm saying?
Regardless, they released their debut album, Music for the People, in July of 1991. It charted at 21 on the Billboard 200, and they had 2 top 10 singles. Good Vibrations, which hit number 1 on the Hot 100, and Wild Side, which hit number 10. Also, random fun fact, according to Wikipedia, they released a video game called Make My Video, which apparently was regarded as one of the worst video games of all time. Anyways, their next album, You Gotta Believe, only charted at 67 on the Billboard 200 and had 1 single hit 49, so it didn't do nearly as well. Following this album, apart from a track on the Super Mario Bros. Soundtrack for some reason, the group disbanded, likely because of the lack of success on their previous album. Then Mark continued making music, producing for a label called East West Records. Then he started working with the reggae singer Prince Itel Joe, and they made an album together that did very well in Germany, along with the track United. Honestly, it's kind of hard for me to say Mark fully fell off because of the success he had in the US and then, you know, the success he had in Germany afterwards. But most white rapper acts like himself, like Vanilla Ice for example, seem to have a short shelf life. I mean, I don't think this was going to last super long.
I think it's time I kick a little verse. See, some do hip-hop and forget where it started. The claim of a white complexion ain't the reason why their records charted, please. I mean, it's so easy to see. When a white dude raps, the public sees it as a novelty. Even me, although I take it seriously, some just like me because of my RACE, but I won't quit and I won't stop because I do hip-hop records just because I love hip-hop.
So Mark decided to pivot. First of all, people thought he was sexy. I mean, I even saw people calling him a sex symbol of the 90s. So he did some modeling for Calvin Klein. He actually was picked out for this sponsorship because of him displaying his physique in the Good Vibrations music video, which is really interesting. But the thing people know him most for is acting. It's likely because of his connections from his brothers and also being relatively popular in the music industry. He was able to start acting in 1993, and throughout the 90s he started landing bigger and bigger roles. It was after his first role in The Substitute that he dropped the name Marky Mark, and it seemed like he made up his mind about being an actor instead of a rapper. And honestly, I'm sure you guys know how successful Mark Wahlberg has become after becoming an actor, and maybe you've eaten one of his burgers over at Wahlburger. They're pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. So it's interesting to see how he used his previous popularity and success to pivot into some modeling, but you know, a lot of acting. And I think it's interesting to see how all of these artists, for the most part, other than I guess Fetty Wap, were able to leverage their success and turn that into either a different career or a similar career or something else.
Thought that was gonna be a little better. It was cool. If y'all liked it, hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. You know.
Don't do it for the bar, just do it for the bar.